Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Side, the art and science of watch collection. Today what I want to do is that I want to have an overview of Cartier and Chopard watches. Now, recently I had a video on luxury brands and how to find good deals in those. And Cartier and Chopard would fall into that category, but they were so much into watches that I thought, well, I'll have them as a separate category and talk about them separately. So that's what we're going to do today. Now, first of all, Cartier, there was when you bring up men's watches you go to their newest site online, and there were three watches for men. And of course, there were several versions of these three categories. One was Santos de Cartier, the other was Tank Must Watch, which is sort of an unusual name, and finally was Balloon Blue. And much to my surprise is that the Santos de Cartier, the caliber 049, was based on an ETA 2892A2, $8,250. Now, I gotta say, in terms of style and looks, the Santos is one of the just a pure, really gorgeous, classy looking watch. And why they didn't have something a little more upscale in that, I'm not sure, but they didn't. $8,250 for a watch with an ETA-based movement, I'm not too sure about, even though I really like the looks of the Santos. Now, the next one, the Tank Must Watch, it used to be, and it still is, the watches that were Must de Cartier were terrible. There was a certain period, I think it was in the 1970s, a couple guys took over Cartier, and they started this Must de Cartier, and they were, by and large, it was cheap, to put it bluntly. And this is from a tradition of, really some famous watches, like the original Tank from 1919. Anyway, now the Tank Must Watch, I thought, uh-oh, this is going to be a cheap movement and everything else. Turns out not the case. In fact, for a guy, to me, overall, this has the best caliber and everything else going, plus the best price. $5,000, but you get a caliber 1843 MC. MC means manufacturer Cartier. For some reason, the main watches, the main guy watches, and guys tend to buy watches a lot more than women. Why was this the only one with a pure Cartier movement? I'll talk about that a little more in a second. The third one is Balloon Blue. Balloon Blue is a super popular style among both men and women. Some years ago, the Duchess of Cambridge was waving, and she had on a Balloon Blue. Well, it wasn't long before a lot of women wanted one like that because it was sort of royalty had one on. But also, it was one of those few watches that both guys also liked. That's a cool looking watch. Again, though, here you have a watch that has an ETA base. It's 2892A2. Turns out, at least in my opinion, the ETA 2892 is one of my favorite ETA movements. It's a good movement. But it's identified with something a little cheaper. Now, having said that, there's good reason for it, and we'll take a look at some of the watches, since these are the three for men that Cartier has. Let's take a look at on the pre-owned market. Now, the first three I'm going to take a look at are all caliber de something, caliber de Cartier, drive de Cartier, and Clé de Cartier. Okay, so they have those three different ones. And if you find caliber de Cartier, it's got a caliber 1904 PS MC movement. I believe this one was part of the time that Carol Forestier Casapi was running the movement at Cartier. In 2012, she won the Watchmaker of the Year, which is a huge thing. Very few watchmakers have won that, and she was one of them. And she had produced something, I think, like 29 different movements while she was at Cartier. And these calibers that they have here, they all seem to be ones that she developed. Not positive, but it was during that period. So to me, if you want a great Cartier watch, other than the tank, even the tank must, because it's not the old must, it's the new must, the Cartier. These are the ones that got some great ones. The Calibre de Cartier, it's got 1904 PS MC. MC, remember, is manufactured Cartier. You can pick up one of those from $3,000. The Drive de Cartier, again, 1904 PS MC movement, 3400 pre-owned. And finally, the Clé de Cartier caliber 1847 movement Cartier from 2000 pre-owned. So you go digging for a nice watch with a really good movement. For the most part, you're not going to go after the new Cartiers. Now, an even tonier group in the used group are these ones that are called Rotonde de Cartier. This line of watches, I'm pretty sure that these were another group of movements that were developed by Carol Forestier Casapi. The three that I have here, they're all Rotonde de Cartier. The first one is a dual time zone from $4,000 pre-owned. The second one is a jumping hour. Now these are pretty expensive to begin with. They're over $20,000, I think, for the most part. In fact, I'm sure of it. They have what's a caliber 9905 MC, which I believe is a hand-wound caliber. This is really a very special watch. It's a jumping hour with then a little arrow that goes around for the minutes on it. Really a beautiful watch. Another one, again, these are a little more expensive. They got interesting movements. So is the Rotonde de Cartier, the Mysterious Hour. Okay, pre-owned. So even though these are more expensive, you're going to find some really good Cartier movements in them. Now, moving over to Chopard, you have something sort of a different texture to it. The ones, and these are only three of the main ones developed for, that were developed for, I think, for men primarily. You have the Alpine Eagle, which is definitely a guy's watch. These are the new prices. They start at $14,800, and we'll take a look at what each one of these you can find on a pre-owned. The Miglia Classic, this has an ETA caliber A322-11, which just has the same specs as the 2894-2 ETA. 9350. Now, again, to me, 9350 for a watch with an ETA movement is a bit high. The Chopard Alpine Eagle, on the other hand, has a Chopard 01.01-C. So this in-house movement, that's pretty good movement. Now, the LUC Quality Fleurier is from the whole line of watches that are called LUC. Okay, the Quality Fleurier is like the Geneva seal, except it's for watches that are made in the Fleurier area. This one is 20,300, and for a watch of that quality, it's not bad. Okay, the Alpine Eagle, 14,800, not cheap. All right, buy anyway. Now let's take a look at these same watches on the pre-owned market. Starting off with the Alpine Eagle, I found one for about half of what what a brand new one would cost. This one is same movement, and it's from $7,400. Not bad. Now the Mille Miglia Classic, that's sort of a lot of watts there. It's a big old, like the other one, is a chronograph. However, the price is the best price I could find. Not doesn't mean it's the best price in the world. It's the one I could find. It was $1,800. So it's a big difference, though, between what was the MSRP for a watch like this. Now, finally, with LUC, this is a big surprise here. With caliber LUC 4.96. I found one for $35.94, and so I think one of the things about Chopard, you can find some really good discounts on watches. The Mille Miglia, which is what I've always liked. They have one of the models. I don't think it's a chronograph, but they have tire. The band looks like made out of racing tires. Sort of a cool watch. But if you want like an upscale watch, LUC Pro 1, that's a really good buy, I think. Anyway, little late with these two from talking about all of the other luxury ones, but I'll tell you, I think there are really you can find some really interesting buys for excellent watches, both from Cartier and from Chopard. Let me know what you think. This is an opportunity to subscribe if you want. Until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Side, the art and science of watch collection.